You never forget your first love. They say that not only is this true in life, but also in TV shows. Our first loves are the ones we remember forever. For many people, Game of Thrones is that first love. However, that love was complicated. While the final season may have disappointed some, there's no denying that GOT changed television forever. It gave us unforgettable characters, jaw-dropping plot twists, incredible battles, fantastic villains, and some of the most memorable quotes in history. We've collected 20 of the best Game of Thrones quotes that sum up the show perfectly. Let's jump into them. But before we get into the list, don't forget to hit that like button. Thanks for being here. Let's get started. House Stark, winter is coming. Houses noble families who control vast lands within the fictional continent of Westeros are central to Game of Thrones. Each house has its own beliefs, values, symbols, words, and colors. There are so many houses, and they're all vying for power and influence over the others. Among them, House Stark stands out. Their words are "winter is coming," which reflects their honor, their duty, and their deep connection to family and home. The Starks are known for their bravery, their loyalty, and their strong sense of justice. They're often willing to put the needs of others before their own, and they're fiercely protective of those they care about. House Lannister, hear me roar. In the complex web of Game of Thrones, House Lannister is a wealthy and powerful family whose motto is "Hear me roar." They're known for their wealth, their cunning, and their ruthlessness. They're not above using underhanded tactics to achieve their goals, and they're willing to do whatever it takes to protect their interests. Despite their flaws, the Lannisters are also known for their strength, their determination, and their fierce loyalty to one another. This quote reflects their fierce and sometimes frightening nature, showing that they should not be underestimated. House Targaryen, fire and blood. Of all the houses in Westeros, few are as legendary as House Targaryen. With their iconic silver gold hair and their mastery over dragons, they're truly a force to be reckoned with. But despite their power, the Targaryens are also known for their internal conflicts and their willingness to engage in endless cycles of violence and revenge. Their motto, "Fire and Blood," speaks to their passionate and sometimes destructive nature. They're known for their ability to inspire fierce loyalty in their followers, but also for their tendency to burn just as brightly as they burn out quickly. Other houses. Now let's talk about the other houses in Westeros. House Baratheon, known for their strength and their connection to the sea. House Tyrell, known for their wealth and their political acumen. House Martell, known for their cunning and their mastery of poisons. And House Greyjoy, known for their naval power and their fierce independence. Each of these houses played a major role in the struggle for the Iron Throne, and they brought with them their own unique values, beliefs, and motivations. Power where men believe it resides. One of the most important themes in Game of Thrones is the nature of power. Who has it and how it's used. This quote, spoken by the wise and enigmatic Varys, sums up the show's exploration of power beautifully. He's saying that power isn't necessarily where you think it is. It's where people believe it is. In Game of Thrones, power can be found in the most unexpected places, and those who wield it may not always be who you think. Characters like Tyrion Lannister and Daenerys Targaryen, who start out as outsiders, eventually find themselves in positions of power, proving that it doesn't always reside where you might expect. Betrayal. Fortunately, betrayal is all too common in Game of Thrones. Ned Stark's execution, the Red Wedding, and Daenerys' downfall were all the result of betrayal by those whom they trusted. Betrayal is such a common theme in the show that it's almost shocking when it doesn't happen. But it's precisely this unpredictability that makes Game of Thrones so compelling. We never know who to trust, and that keeps us on the edge of our seats. Even family. The bonds of family are powerful things, but in Game of Thrones, even those ties can be broken when it comes to the pursuit of power. The most shocking example of this is Cersei and Jaime Lannister's incestuous relationship. Despite the dangers and the social stigma, they choose to be together, showing that their love for each other is stronger than any other consideration. Similarly, Joffrey Baratheon's sadistic behavior shows that not all members of powerful families are cut out for leadership, and that sometimes blood ties can be more of a curse than a blessing. Jon Snow, the reluctant hero. Jon Snow is one of the most beloved characters in Game of Thrones, and his story is one of courage, selflessness, and duty. Despite his initial reluctance to embrace his destiny, he rises to the challenge time and time again, ultimately sacrificing everything to save the realm. Jon Snow is a man of honor and integrity who fights for what he believes in, even if it means going against those in power. His story reminds us that heroes don't always wear crowns, but they do wear courage. Daenerys Stormborn of House Targaryen, mother of dragons, Khaleesi of the Dothraki, breaker of chains, queen of Meereen, rightful heir to the Iron Throne of the Seven Kingdoms of Westeros, and first of her name. That's quite the list. Daenerys starts out as a young, naive woman, but she quickly grows into a strong, confident leader who fights for justice and equality. She's known for her fierce independence and her willingness to stand up for what she believes in, even if it means going against tradition or risking her own safety. Tyrion, strong, clever, outcast. Despite his physical limitations, Tyrion Lannister is one of the most likable characters in Game of Thrones. He's known for his intelligence, his wit, and his ability to navigate the complex world of Westeros politics with ease. He's also incredibly brave, facing down danger and death on numerous occasions. Ultimately, Tyrion is a man who's underestimated at his own peril. He's proven time and again that he's capable of great things despite his size. Arya, no one. Arya Stark is one of the most fascinating characters in Game of Thrones. She starts out as an innocent young girl, but she quickly matures into a fierce, independent young woman who's willing to do whatever it takes to survive in a brutal and unforgiving world. She's trained by the Faceless Men and becomes one of the most feared assassins in the world. But despite her skills, Arya is also capable of great kindness and compassion. Cersei, you can't beat me. Of all the villains in Game of Thrones, Cersei Lannister is perhaps the most ruthless and terrifying. She's willing to do whatever it takes to protect her family and maintain her power, even if it means sacrificing the lives of innocent people. She's responsible for some of the most horrific events in the series. And she's a reminder that even the most powerful people are capable of truly evil things. Dragons return. After being extinct for centuries, dragons return to the world of Game of Thrones in a big way. They're magnificent creatures who embody the magic and wonder of the series. Dragons are also incredibly powerful and dangerous, capable of wreaking havoc on those who seek to control them. The return of dragons is a major plot device in the series, marking a turning point in the struggle for power in Westeros. White Walkers and the Night King. Now dragons add a sense of wonder and excitement to Game of Thrones. The White Walkers and the Night King bring with them a sense of dread and foreboding. These creatures represent the ultimate threat to all of humanity, and they serve as a reminder that even the most powerful people and creatures are not invincible. The White Walkers and the Night King are a major part of the series, serving as a constant reminder of the danger that lies beyond the wall. Bran the Broken, the Three-Eyed Raven. Bran Stark is one of the most intriguing characters in Game of Thrones, and his story is a journey of self-discovery, resilience, and growth. Despite the trauma he suffers at the hands of the Lannisters, Bran is able to find a new purpose in life as the Three-Eyed Raven, a position that gives him the ability to see the past, present, and future of the world. Bran's story is a testament to the human spirit and the power of the mind to overcome even the most difficult challenges. Red Wedding, the bloodiest betrayal. There's nothing more disappointing than a false sense of security, and nowhere is this more evident than in the infamous Red Wedding. This shocking event is one of the most talked about moments in television history, and it serves as a reminder that in the Game of Thrones, no one is safe. The Red Wedding is a betrayal of epic proportions, exposing the true colors of some of the most seemingly trustworthy characters in the series. Battle of the Bastards. The Battle of the Bastards is a cinematic masterpiece that showcases the brutality and intensity of war in Game of Thrones. The battle is fought between two noble families, House Stark and House Bolton, and it's a clash between good and evil that culminates in one of the most satisfying victories in the series. The battle is a display of military strategy, courage, and determination, and it's a reminder that even in the darkest of times, hope can prevail. Dany burns King's Landing, Breaking Point. One of the most controversial events in Game of Thrones is when Daenerys Targaryen burns King's Landing to the ground. This action is seen as a betrayal of everything she once stood for, making it clear that the show is not afraid to take risks and challenge its audience expectations. Dany's descent into madness is a cautionary tale about the dangers of unchecked power and the importance of maintaining one's moral compass. The Wall falls. The fall of the Wall is a pivotal moment in Game of Thrones, symbolizing the collapse of the barriers that have protected humanity from the White Walkers for centuries. This event is a reminder that even the most formidable defenses are not impenetrable, and that the fight for survival is never ending. The fall of the Wall is a call to action, urging humanity to unite in the face of a common enemy. Bran the Broken becomes king. When Bran the Broken becomes king at the end of Game of Thrones, it's a controversial decision that leaves fans divided. Bran is a wise and well-intentioned leader, but his lack of ambition and his detached nature make him an unlikely candidate for the throne. Nevertheless, Bran's ascension to the throne marks the beginning of a new era for Westeros, one that hopefully brings peace and prosperity after years of war and destruction. From war to fragile peace. Overall, Game of Thrones is a story about the transition from war to a fragile peace. It's a reminder that even in the darkest of times, hope can prevail, and that even the most bitter of enemies can find common ground. The ending of Game of Thrones may not have been perfect, but it's a fitting conclusion to an epic saga that changed television forever. Left fans divided. Despite its flaws, Game of Thrones is a landmark achievement in television history. It left fans divided, but that doesn't mean it wasn't a historic cultural moment. The show broke new ground in terms of storytelling, special effects, and audience engagement, and it will continue to be studied and debated for years to come. Prequels and spin-offs. The Game of Thrones universe is expanding like never before. With multiple prequels and spin-offs in development, there's no shortage of Westeros adventures on the horizon. One of the most exciting is House of the Dragon, which is set 170 years before the events of Game of Thrones, and will focus on the legendary House Targaryen. No one is completely good or evil. Game of Thrones is a show that defies easy categorization. Its characters are complex and flawed, and it explores themes that are both timeless and timely. One of the most important lessons the show teaches is that no one is completely good or evil. Every character is capable of both great things and terrible things, and it's up to them to decide which path they'll follow. Trust is rare. In the world of Game of Thrones, trust is a rare commodity. The characters are constantly betrayed by those they thought they could rely on, and they're forced to learn who they can and can't trust. This lesson is important not only in the world of Westeros, but in our own world as well. We should be cautious about who we trust, and always be on the lookout for those who might try to take advantage of us. Loyalty is tested. Throughout the series, characters are faced with tests of loyalty that push them to their limits. They're forced to choose between their personal beliefs and the demands of their families, their houses, or their partners. These tests of loyalty are a reminder that our beliefs and values are constantly being challenged, and that we must be prepared to stand up for what we believe in, even when it's difficult. In the Game of Thrones, you win or you die. Finally, one of the most important lessons from Game of Thrones is that in the Game of Thrones, you either win or you die. The series is a brutal reminder that the stakes are high and the competition is fierce. But it's also a celebration of the human spirit and the lengths to which we'll go to achieve our goals. Whether we're talking about politics, business, or relationships, the lessons from Game of Thrones are universal and timeless. Well, folks, that's all for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Which Game of Thrones quote is your favorite? Which scene do you remember the most? Please leave a comment below. Don't forget to like and share. If you want to watch another video, click right here. See you next time.